Hey, buongiorno everybody. So we are here today in my kitchen getting ready for a typical Friday. You know, a lot of times I tell people that, we kind of do certain things on certain days, and Fridays are definitely a good day for a pizza. But today I'm going to show you how I make my garlic focaccia. This is my recipe. I'm sure somebody out there in the world makes it, but this is the way I do it, and everybody goes crazy over it. When people see what it is, they're like, some people are like, that's it? And other people are like, oh my God, look at all that. And we use a lot of garlic. Normally in Italy, they don't go garlic crazy. They use it often, but they don't use it in the quantities that Italian Americans use it to. I think it's a proof. The more garlic we use, the more Italian we are, I don't know, but it's crazy. But anyway, so I've done this before. We're gonna really quick, I'm gonna do it just for in case anybody hasn't seen it before. All right, so I'm starting with about 2 cups of water. And I'm gonna put in a good tablespoon. And yes, this is a tablespoon of salt. I'm just gonna dissolve this salt. This is just room temperature water. I'd like to use my filtered water. My filtered water comes out cold, so I took it out earlier. All right, just get some of that dissolved up a little bit. In the meantime, actually what I usually do first is get my yeast going and get my little cup. Now, just a reminder, yeast water should be lukewarm. So I've got a little bit of hot water here. I'm just gonna put a little cold water in it. Let's see. So your water should just be warm to the touch. Oops. That was really hot what I started with. Okay, let me dump a little bit of that. That's too much. Okay, I just want about a 1/4 cup of water. This is a single recipe, so it makes like 2 pizzas or like 2 little loaves of bread. So it works out nice. Okay, and we're gonna put in a good tablespoon of yeast. I'm just using my hand. Just 1 little teaspoon. What's a demi-tablespoon? So I'm gonna put a little more. 1 little teeny spoon of sugar just to feed the yeast. And this is my test to make sure it's all working. If you have yeast that's gotten old and then you put it in with your flour and then it doesn't rise, you've wasted the whole thing. So I kind of do it this way when I use my dry yeast. If I'm using like a fresh, like my starter, then it's working because you can see it right in front of you. All right, so I'm just gonna let that sit for a second while we get the rest of this ready. So today, just wanted to share with you. Remember I said this year is gonna be new. So I'm wearing a button. I found it up as I'm going through boxes still up in my room of random little junks that I have. And so I just put this in my jewelry box and I took it out. It says how long a minute is depends on which side of the bathroom door you're on. But there's real meaning behind that funny little saying. Because if you think about it, it's perspective. And that's something that I think perspective is learned. If you learn to be to look on the negative side of things as opposed to having an example of positive things. Be a positive example and change your perspective. And if you happen to be a glass half empty person, and then you're like, oh, there's all people, I guess your glass is half full. Well, you know what? Whether your glass is half empty or your glass is half full, you see it's all perspective. Because regardless, there's something in your glass. So, just saying, perspective in life is everything. All this crap that's happened on the news right now, but seriously, it's perspective. Everybody has a thought, and if only people would listen to each other, then maybe we wouldn't have to shout. Just saying. Okay, so we've got our salted water, and now I've got 2 kinds of flour here. I've got whole wheat, and I've got white. The way I do it is I start with the white, then I add in some whole wheat. It tends to be almost half and half. To me, it comes out almost perfect. It's nice for a focaccia, still gets kind of light. If I go just a little more than half of the white and then a little, little less than half of the whole wheat, I've made it half and half. I've made it 3/4 whole wheat and just a little white to lighten it up. A solid whole wheat for a pizza is good. It's heavy. So I would let it rise longer. After I put it in the pizza pan, I would let it rise longer. When I make it more white, I can put it in the pan, and by the time I've topped it, I can throw it right in the oven almost. So anyway, we're gonna start with about 3 cups. I don't really measure it exactly, I just scoop, but approximately 3 cups of flour I start with. This recipe takes 5 to 6 cups of flour, depending how, perfectly you measure. Gently, carefully. So I get this kind of nice gloppy mess here. It's not quite a dough yet. And I always do it by hand. You can use a mixer, but in general, over the years, I make so much at a time. I used to quadruple the recipe. So, that's a lot. Wouldn't fix even in my 6-quart mixer. So anyway, so I've got that mixed in. Now you can see my yeast has bubbled. It's not overflowing, and if I let it sit longer, it will, but at least I know it's working. And I already know it was working anyway, but this is just, so now I'm going to add this in with all its foam and water, and now all of a sudden, it smells like bread. And if you want something to make you feel good, it's all about the smells. Just want to get it all mixed in. I like to make sure there's no amount of it, not. So now I've got this even wetter because we just added water. So now I'm going to go to the whole wheat. I'm going to give it a good 2 cups of whole wheat. We've got about 3 cups of white. I'm going to give it 2 cups of whole wheat. And then if I need to overflow a little bit, if I need a little more, I'll probably do a little bit more white. I love just getting my hands in here. And then I got 2 dirty hands, and I love it. And my black apron and my flour. And let's see how much we can need. There's a lot of loose flour here, so let's knead that in. With this same dough, we can make some pizza. Maybe I'll make one, who knows, maybe I'll make one with some sauce on it, or I'll just make them all white pizzas tonight, kind of in the white pizza mood. But if you make some a little thicker, then if you make it nice and fluffy, you can cut it in half and make a killer sandwich out of it. Nothing like a garlic focaccia as your bread for your sandwich. Oh, just a little bit of prosciutto and a little bit of fresh mozzarella and nothing else with the garlicky oil on top. Oh, so good. Okay. So this is nice. It's got a little tackiness to it still. I'm just gonna get my hands, just cleaning off my, flung it everywhere. I've got a nice, smooth dough. Look at that. Isn't it pretty? So I'm gonna throw it back in my bowl, and I'm gonna do some magic. Magic. Here's some I made earlier. So this is the exact same amount this time. See this little ball? It grew into this. Isn't it pretty? Okay. So not gonna crazy overwork it. I'm gonna cut this in half. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take my oil. Let me just get it here. Sorry, couldn't reach the oil. I'm gonna put a nice little bit on the bottom. I like an oil on the bottom. Some people use like the semolina flour on the bottom. Yeah, it's too dry. I like the good oil. So we're gonna spread the oil all around here with my blob of dough. And I'm just gonna spread it out to where it's gonna go. Let it sit for a few. Your dough always needs to rest, otherwise it won't spread in the pizza pan. I'll make 2 of these today. The other batch that I have sitting back there that I just made with you, I'll probably make some rolls, then stick them. And then what I do is I do the rolls, we have them hot today. Whatever's left over, I slice them, put them in a Ziploc, throw them in the freezer, and they're good any morning. Pop them in the toaster. Yum. Okay, so these are sitting here, getting ready to work, but we have to get our topping prepared. So my topping for my garlic focaccia is the bomb. Okay, we need garlic and the chopper to start with. So I'm gonna get a whole head of garlic. Now it also depends, these aren't huge heads of garlic, so I might need a couple extra pieces. And I know it sounds like a lot because like I said before, in Italy, garlic isn't as, we don't go crazy with it, but this one particular dish is about the garlic. We're just gonna crunch our garlics here. Okay, so just take the skin out of these. Okay, so I've got this garlic in my little thingy here. Now you can chop this with a knife. You can, I wouldn't use a garlic press because it's too mushy, too fine. But I'm telling you, this is my Pampered Chef chopper. If you need a Pampered Chef thing, check with me because I sell Pampered Chef too on the side. Because it's what I use, I love it. But this gets it chopped, but chopped fine, not crushed and mushed and all that. It's also really good getting your aggression up. So, oh yeah, just a couple more. Okay. So now I have this beautiful amount of garlic. Now I'm going to do something really cool. I'm going to take all this garlic, I'm going to put it in this cute little jar. So this is also something you can do for yourself on the side. For example, say you don't use all this garlic on your focaccia, or maybe you're only making a half a focaccia. Make the whole thing, because during the course of the week, if you need some garlic, chopped garlic, this is how you do it. You just put this in the refrigerator. Make sure it's covered. I've showed you guys this before. So if I'm repeating myself, for those of you who've already heard it, I'm sorry, but that's how you learn, by repetition. Do it over and over. Okay, so now we're gonna take, look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. It's so nice and white and beautiful and not that kind of grayish tint that the jarred crap from the store is. Now we're gonna make it not only beautifully white, we're gonna make it beautifully golden. Fill this baby up with oil. Good, cover it up good. And now we've got some nice garlic oil. So now there's two ways we can do this for the pizza. You can put the salt, because you have to have salt. You can put the salt right in here, stir it up. And that's also good when you put it in the fridge, because that also helps in the preserving process. You don't want to keep this for really long because it can go bad, but it doesn't go bad for a while. And what happens when you put this in the refrigerator, the oil, especially using a good extra virgin, it will congeal and get solid on top. So you want to definitely make sure that the garlic's always covered. Now, if you end up scooping out some and using some of that oil, like in some dressing or just in a dish, because the oil's all garlicky, then just refill it with a little more oil to make sure the garlic is always covered. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of coarse salt in here and just stir that up. Okay. Now I may need a little more, but we'll see. So garlic, just put the lid on it, goes in the fridge. So I'm going to have my nice pizza dough here. Now this is a little bit denser of a dough because again, it's, half whole wheat. Okay, so this is one of the pizza making things. I'm gonna throw this in real quick that so many people are like, I can never get pizza to stretch in the pan because they keep doing this and keep doing this and stretching it and stretching it. You can't just, the more you stretch it, the more it bounces back. So you get it, it will go as far as it will go. Okay, you're gonna let it rest. I'm gonna get the other one and do the same. And each time you do it, it goes a little further. I could let this sit for like a good 20 minutes and then come and it'll spread out all at once. But if you're in a hurry and but you still have, the hurrieder I go, the behinder I get. So you just gotta give it a few minutes. Okay, almost there. Almost to the edges. Now also, I did knead it a little bit when I took it out. You can also, not knead it really the second time, just kind of bring it together. And that also makes it go quicker. There's a whole bunch of things you can do when it comes to making breads and pizzas. And the thing is, people get daunted by the fact that, oh my gosh, you got to let it rise this long, or you got to, do all these different steps or processes or whatever. The thing is, this is a quicker way to do it, and it's good. It's very good. We're going to go over some of those other ways. Like for example, you can make your dough the night before, put it in the refrigerator, let it rise slowly overnight. And it's actually a better dough, a better pizza. It's actually healthier for you. There's a lot of different interesting things. Perspective really, it really, really is how you go about things, how you attack things, how you perceive things. It's all about your brain. It is all about how you go, looking at things, And there was a lot of years when my kids were little, and people would say, hey, how you doing? How everybody asks you, how you doing? Nobody really cares about the answer, but what my standard answer was? Crazy. Well, guess what? I was like, that was my perspective on what I was doing. I was looking at it wrong, and it was crazy, and it was loud, and it was hectic, and it was busy. But crazy maybe wasn't the right word. I shouldn't have been used. So one day I realized, I'm like, I think I'm making my own life crazy by saying it's crazy. So I started saying it's great, even when it wasn't, and guess what? It got better. It's kind of like, when you're in a crappy mood and you just force yourself to smile, and all of a sudden you're smiling for a reason, So it's you really got to change your perspective on life. Like I could sit here and whine right now that this pizza's taking too long while I'm doing it on the show, but I don't care. It's okay. This one's about done. I'm going to show you what I do with my garlic. I'm going to throw this baby in the oven while we chat for 5 more minutes. Maybe it'll come out before we're done, because I have it on. Now you definitely want your oven whenever you're cooking bread and pizza. You want it high. You want it on a 450 oven at least. I've got mine on a 450 convection, so it's going to go quick. Okay, so perspective. Smell like garlic. You are edible. Okay, so now I'm getting my hands in here. I'm just pulling out whole globs of garlicky oil. Look at this. Oh, so good. And you got to get your hand. No, don't use a spoon. Get your whole hand in here. It's so good for your skin. Come on. I don't look as old as I am. Okay, look at how beautiful this is. Wait a minute. It needs a little more garlic. You want to make sure that this garlic is on literally every corner of this pizza. You want it nice and oily on top. Okay, now the other secret ingredients. Well, this is my, look at this, my oregano is almost done, my Italian oregano. First of all, I'm going to just take a quick taste of this and see if it's salty enough. It is. You want to make sure it's got a nice salty lift, because that's where your flavor pops. It's not like, and you saw, I just put about two big pinches of salt in there. I did use a coarse sea salt. And sometimes I will sprinkle the salt. Sometimes I won't put the salt in the oil, and I'll just sprinkle some coarse salt on top, and you'll have the little grits in it, which is also nice too. Maybe just throw a couple. Just literally a pinch. Okay, so I'm going to use some of this oregano. But look at my little jar is almost empty. So I'm going to show you guys how I bring my oregano home from Italy. It's vacuum sealed in this little skinny bag, but this is a whole big jar. Watch. Oh, it's like heaven. Okay, so I'm just gonna sprinkle. You have to have some oregano on here. It's gotta. Now, the other way you can do this, you can do it without the garlic and or just a little garlic, or just the garlic oil, and use some fresh rosemary. That's really another flavor profile that's really good. But this is my garlic. So you can let this rise longer, or just put it in like this. It's going to fluff up in the oven a little bit. But this is what my garlic focaccia looks like. It's all garlic and oil, good extra virgin. Make sure it's a good extra virgin olive oil, and little coarse salt. But I'm telling you, there is garlic on every inch of this thing. And I always I make sure I get it all the way out to the edge of the crust. No bad parts on here. Okay. And that's on, and it's cruising. I think that everybody should make pizza on Fridays. It's a great way to have Friday night. You know, I'm making this this for lunch today, but normally I would make this for this evening. So I would make it this afternoon. So it would come out of the oven nice and hot and fresh. But I could make the dough now. Like that other dough is actually gonna sit. And I'll probably, this is focaccia that's gonna go with our lunch. That one, the other one, I'm gonna make 2 pizzas for dinner because this is just gonna be a side dish today. But can't beat it, baby. I'm gonna try to keep the garlic on one side. So I wanted to finish that up. And then the other side, we're gonna do rosemary. So let's put a little bit of oil on the plain side. Just plain oil. So I've got my, finish this little jar up. My oregano side. Okay. Oops. And then this side, I'm gonna put some of the coarse salt, because this side has no salt on it. So I'll probably put 2 pinches on. Just make sure it gets like, even really truly, when you have something like this, if you have even 1 or 2 granules of the coarse salt on your bite, it's plenty. So you don't really need too much. You know where you got to always pay attention to the middle, the line where it goes between the garlic and the other, if you're using 2 flavors, sometimes it ends up being blank. So make sure you're crossing over nicely. And then this is a good amount of my, I'm going to crush up some of it. Nobody likes the garlic, nobody seems to like the rosemary too big. So I just kind of crush it in. This is nice, fresh, of course, all homegrown organic. If you can't buy it fresh and dry it yourself, then at least buy organic spices and buy them in smaller jars so they don't lose their flavor. And I'm just doing teensy bits at a time here because I want it small. Okay. Yum. So now I've got, this side is the garlic and this side is the rosemary. So that's a nice one too. Again, all white. Now, this same pizza, you could take a little bit of cheese and sprinkle it on or leave it plain. But we really just love it like this. So this one's going in now too. Oh my goodness, the other one is already poofing up. Love it. So today, I really hope that you got an idea next time you have some pizza dough and you just want to do something a little different, make one of them. Like when I make 4 or 5 pizzas, I always make one of these with the garlic on it. Everybody loves it. And it's a great addition because you know what I do? So here's the scoop. I cut it into skinny strips. So I cut it into my big square slices on the pizza pan, and then I cut each one of those into 3 or 4 little, like 1 inch or 1.5 inch size little pieces so that they're just perfect little, I don't know, pieces. They're good big, but for some reason to me, they taste better little. So you have those, you can dip them in your sauce, you can just eat them, you can use them, make them a little bit wider and use it almost like a base for a bruschetta. Put some little red peppers on it, or put some little caponata on it, or even just have some tomato sauce or something, or like a little like a regular bruschetta, but on top of the garlic focaccia. Oh my God, it's so good with the tomatoes and the garlic and the onions and the parsley or whatever, however you do it. Just really yummy. It's just a great snack to sneak. It is the kind of thing that I'll make and put aside while I'm making other things, and everybody just walks by and they go, boop, and they turn around real quick because they think I don't see them, but I see everything. So anyway, it is definitely something to make you smile. This is a dish that will change your perspective for the positive. So today's challenge to you guys is, actually, I'm going to throw you the smile challenge. So next time you're out, it might be today and it may not, you may be already done your chores this morning and you're in for the day, but just at the grocery store or sitting at a stoplight or wherever you might have to go. I know it's hard because you can't truly smile right now because everybody's behind a mask. But say you're driving in the car and you look over and there's a lady next to you. Give her a smile and a nod. It's amazing. how when you smile to somebody, everybody smiles back. And if they don't, they're a real grump and they really need that smile. They may not smile back at you, but maybe later on they're gonna say, well, that was really nice, that lady smiled at me, or whatever, The other thing I do, now this is something you can't just do randomly because most people don't get it, but I do in my family. When my kids were little, this is a smile, and I may have said this before, but this is a smile, and I used to throw smiles at them. Hey, see this? And I would throw it at them, and they'd have to catch it and put it on their face. So, here, I'm throwing you a smile. Please catch it, put it on your face right now. So I hope everybody that's watching right now is smiling back at me, because I want to feel it, okay? Because, no matter what, somebody's got it worse. And I know that sucks to say, but you really got to think about all the good things you got. Your glass is full. Whether it's half full or half empty, it's got something in it. So smile about that. Make some garlic focaccia. Smile about that too. And, if worst case scenario, in a bad mood, go in the cabinet and sniff your oregano. Yum. I'm a dork. Okay, let me see if this pizza's ready because it is so yummy. Oh, okay. I'm actually going to put this back in for another minute, but I want you to see it. So it's all actually poofed up a little. Whoops. I'm going to stick a hole in that. There we go. There's my puffs. But it is puffing up a little, so we can maybe make a sandwich out of it. These were kind of thinner. Now you're going to have some loose oil, so when I first take it out, I just kind of get whatever little pockets of oil there and spin it around. But look at that. Look at it. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I'm going to put it back in. It's going to get maybe just a little more golden on top, but it's so good. So good. But I wanted to show it to you. So it does cook rather quickly, and be careful you don't burn the garlic on top. Now I'm using convection, so it works out nice. It spreads it around, but if you're using a regular bottom oven, just make sure that the garlic's not burning on top. You may need to switch them at some point. But it's, I've got it at 450, which when I put it in 450, but on convection it comes out to a little bit lower because I guess that gets hotter. I just know it's in the oven and I know my temperatures. But anyway, it's 15 minutes or so and it's good. Not more than that usually, unless you're making it really thick. So you got to judge it, you got to watch it. This is home cooking. It's not an exact science. It's not an exact recipe. It's just passion and love and which side of the bathroom door you're on. So that's how long the minute is. Your minute might be a little longer than my minute, but anyway. So anyhow, have a wonderful day. Keep track of your perspective of what your life's all about. Today, figure out some way to take something that you look at one way and change the way you look at it. Let me just give you a quick example before I let you go. Let's just say, okay, so there's this book that I have. It's called Mindset, and it's really good. You should read it. And one of the examples they give in the book is, this young person just got a C on their test, on their exam. They're really upset about that. They got a parking ticket, and when they called their friend to, get consoled, the friend didn't answer. Well, so this person is completely pissed off. Well, how can you look at that a different way? They're like, I'm going to fail out of school, I got a ticket. Well, number one, it's a C. So you still have time to get an A on the next test. So now what does that tell you? Okay, I've got work to do. Okay, instead of saying, oh, I'm failing, I got work to do, I can still bring it up. You got a parking ticket, but you didn't realize that you parked in a handicap spot. But now you'll never make that mistake again. So that's a plus. So, it was behind a leaf or something, but there you go. And, that friend didn't answer. Instead of saying, well, they weren't there for me when I needed them, how about thinking that, gosh, maybe they were going through something and they needed you. So, there's always another side to the story, you gotta just take your time and say, you know what? Everybody's got a story. So think about, change your perspective, but also put yourself in other people's place and look at their perspective maybe. So that's that. Follow all my stuff, Dorina's Kitchen on YouTube, on Facebook, Dorina's Kitchen Table is a group that I have on Facebook, as well as my did I say Instagram? Yeah, Instagram also. Sometimes some of the same stuff you'll see on the different pages, but sometimes you don't. You'll see more of my pictures on Instagram, more videos on YouTube, and on the Facebook you'll see a little bit of everything. So anyway, have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good weekend, and enjoy your pizza. Ciao.